America,
and to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. All right, so there were a couple of items from last month that, Dan, you were going to look into. Let me see if I can find them right off. You were going to talk to Rich Clavette and see whether the year 5 M&V inspections were done.
Yeah, he and George both did get the 5-year M&V report. I don't know that either of them have looked at it in depth. I did get it as well and haven't had an opportunity to review it.
Okay, but the report did come out.
It did.
Okay.
That was addressed to just Rich and George, so I'm
Okay.
get it forward from George.
Okay, so report issued. And what about the EMS report?
We have not seen the EMS reports.
That's from the pool, the generator.
No, it's
It's from Amoresco.
Well, I'm surprised, I think, because I got that report and sent it to Rich Clavette a couple of months ago. So
The EMS report.
The EMS report. At least I think I did, but
I'll check back with him. I got the 5-year from George.
Okay.
And he hadn't seen any EMS report.
Okay. What about item 5, the Aegis? I don't know if it's a monthly report, but they were provided reports on the CHP unit at the pool.
I haven't had an opportunity to connect with them. There's a woman named Diane who had been kind of the lead from their side I'd like to connect with, and haven't had an opportunity to circle back on that.
Okay.
And, really the people who manage the pool should, I would think, would be key on knowing if this thing is operating or not.
Yeah, to what extent is Sheila involved?
It's it's their bottom line. It's going to be affected.
What was that?
Well, it's going to be their bottom line that's affected by this. So I think
correct.
Be active doing that. But
do you know?
Yeah, but I'll try. I don't think that she's getting it either. And again, I'm going to connect with Diane, who was our point of contact with Aegis and getting this off the ground. And I think she's going to be the best to help us to try to facilitate that communication at any level.
Okay. Do you know, Dan, if Chris Smith started doing any data input on the fuel oil?
I met with Chris Smith. We went over the means to enter the data. We attempted to enter data, and he didn't have the credentials. I actually have to meet with somebody on the Board of Ed side and work through getting him the clearance. Greg Gibbons at the Board of Ed is the only one currently with that ability. So I'm going to connect with him and get Chris the access. I think he said something to that regard in his email that he sent and not being able to attend. But he and I went over it. He's comfortable in how to input the data. It's just getting through Greg Gibbons, who has the administrative access at this point, getting him to work through connecting Chris with that opportunity.
Okay. Anything further to report on why Highland School may be running less efficient than we think?
Nothing further at this time. We just got Dan Knutson. He's connecting.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, Dan. How you doing?
Sorry I'm late.
We started to review some of the items that Dan Bombaro was going to follow up on from last month. And unless Ryan joins, we're not going to have an official meeting, but we could at least go over some of these outstanding points. And do you know what the outcome was of the Board of Ed's submittal to Eversource for the,
I haven't seen anything on that. I know they do have a planning committee meeting tomorrow night.
okay, but they did make the deadline for the auction. We know
Correct.
that, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know what the outcome of the auction was.
Correct. I think the what you get back, the rate that they set at the auction is going to really speak to whether or not, it's financially viable, if you're going to see any savings out of it. Cost of construction materials and such.
Are we still on, is it still planned to have a planning and zoning committee meeting on our proposal?
Well, if we are, it's not going to happen until,
I think you're talking about the council planning committee.
When they sent
Yeah, they referred it to the planning committee. I haven't, seen anything on the agenda for a planning committee. I think what they're tackling right now is both the modernization plan on the council and Board of Ed levels, along with the capital budget. So I don't know that they have anything planned at this time. I can see if there's anything on the schedule.
Because our proposal, if for the next round, would be very similar to that one. It'd be the same. I mean,
yeah. Well, Jim Jinks and I communicated back and forth a couple of times. This was before, no, it was actually just shortly after the deadline passed. And he apologized for, I guess, not acting on it right away, but they didn't give him a lot of time. Council just kind of kicked the can down the road and ended up in the planning committee's lap. And I don't think that they even really knew what to do. They certainly didn't know the urgency, the timing. Deadline came and went. But anyway, I can follow up with Jim and see what they intend to do, if anything. And like you say, Dan, Knutson, if we wouldn't, well, actually, I was going to say we probably wouldn't make any significant changes, but Greenbank said that there was some kind of a replacement program.
Yeah, they didn't know what it was really structured like at the point that they said that, but it's something that's in the wings, as they said it. Okay,
and just kind of skimming down further, Dan, you made a reference to some $48,000 of Eversource energy efficiency rebates last month. And I have that flagged because I meant to say Dan Bombaro if I didn't, but Dan Knutson, is it technically correct that they're Eversource energy efficiency rebates, or is it the ctenergy.com or whatever? Is it the energy board, or is the energy rebates coming from technically from Eversource and UI, or is it coming through the energy efficiency fund? Do you know?
I'm not sure. My understanding would be that it comes out of the EE funds, but it's administered by Eversource in our case.
Yeah, and UI in New Haven area, but I don't know whether it's correct to call it an Eversource energy efficiency rebate, or is it the CT energy rebate? So whatever, it's.
Yeah, I mean, I think CT energy would be fine. They kind of get good, Eversource gets good publicity, people thinking it's them giving the money back. They don't realize that it's the money that they put in that
they're administering it
back.
Right. And I think I did say on the last page here that the Coalition for Sustainable Cheshire had achieved a silver status, but it really was a bronze status. But I think that we probably need to correct that just for the record. But I did say that I thought that they had achieved silver status, and I was wrong. It's bronze. All right, so that's my questions. Anybody else have any questions for Dan Bombaro? Okay, not hearing any. Last month, we talked a little bit about whether or not the commission should exhibit or have a table at the Fall Festival. And we said we would maybe meet this month and toss around some ideas, some kind of theme or whatever. Does anybody have any ideas? I know Dan Knutson mentioned life cycle cost. I don't know how you would, I don't know how you could conveniently convey that message. Maybe we could talk about it, but do you have any further ideas on that, Mr. Knutson?
Life cycle costs of town buildings or
Projects.
to get people to think about it, energy in those terms.
How do you think we could present that, though?
Um,
I mean, the topic makes a lot of sense, especially in light of the new school modernization effort. But I don't know how you can convey that.
I mean, it even makes sense when you're buying a dishwasher or a refrigerator to look at that, or a car.
Well, we really only have one more meeting and then maybe 1 or 2 weeks between now and the Fall Festival. So let's say we got roughly 6 weeks to come up with some way of presenting life cycle cost as one of our publicity, education, outreach topics. Maybe you can come up with some ideas on how to present that.
Something like, let's start thinking about life cycle costs, or something like that. When we buy or when we build, when we.
All right, well, is it possible to I don't know if there's any kind of I suppose we could look on YouTube and see if there's any videos that have already addressed this idea of life cycle cost. Maybe we can get some ideas from that. But I mean, we can't just say life cycle cost. We've got to have something, a poster or some kind of an example. I think most people will inherently get it, that it makes sense. But how do you package it and put it in front of the public, especially since they're really there for?
Yeah, and I think like you're saying, it's understandable, but I don't know that most people think in those terms.
Well, certainly, yeah, it doesn't come out loud and clear when they start talking about municipal projects. I mean, Dan Bombaro was no better than anybody else. They're always looking at the low bid. I mean, it's the way it is. I don't know why. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But when it comes to these new schools, if there are 2 new schools, whether they're 2 elementary or an elementary and a middle or whatever they're going to do, to build in, we talked last meeting about net zero energy features. They're going to cost more, right? They're going to cost more up front. So they're going to make the ticket look bigger. Ticket's already going to be pretty big. People are going to freak out when they see it, probably. But how do you how do you then sell the idea of an incremental cost for energy efficiency or renewability or resiliency or whatever? How do you do that and get public support for it?
Right. And whatever the ticket is, we're probably going to finance it some way, right? With bonds or,
Yeah.
so it's, what is your yearly cost for paying for this school and over how many years? So that would be.
Walt Gajewski, have you got any ideas on how to convey the message or the concept?
I think having some type of flyer to hand out that's probably written for like an 8th grader, simple diagrams, nothing too complicated, would be the first approach to get people thinking about it. Maybe on the back page you could put your PhD dissertation on it.
Yeah.
Those are more interested in it.
Well, Dan, you came up with, I think talking to Peter Millman, was it? Or there was some link to a net zero energy school committee or consortium or whatever. Is there anything in that we could use?
Definitely, maybe in conversation with people, it could be one of the materials. One of the handouts we have could be about that specifically. Be a good conversation piece. The flyer that Walt's thinking of, maybe that has like a simple example of your yearly cost of buying an energy efficient refrigerator versus a cheap refrigerator or something like that, and then it could go into, well, we also think that what the Energy Commission is also concerned that the town does this when they renovate or build buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Something, I don't know.
Okay, well, again, we've got one more meeting before the fall festival. And if we don't come up with something tangible and workable, then I don't think we should even be there. I mean, you can go there and kibitz or rub elbows with Fiona Pearson or whatever. And like she suggested that they've already committed to having their sharing a booth with the Sunflower Committee or something, but invited us to come on over and, meet people and talk to people. Maybe that's all we do. Maybe we just forget the booth of our own and then just kind of hang out at Fiona's booth. And I don't know. I mean, but we only have one more meeting. And if it goes like it usually goes, we're going to come to that meeting and nobody's going to be prepared for that as well. And all I'm saying is that all the exhibits that we've ever had that we've had while I've been on commission, it seems like just one or two people do all the work, and it can't go on like that. So somebody's got to step up and help out. Plus,
I'm willing to. I would definitely go and volunteer at the booth for 3 hours or something if you want. I don't mind talking to people like that about this kind of thing.
Yeah, you might also have, I don't know if the community choice is dead or not, but that might be something else that we could talk about.
Sure. We still have those flyers.
What is the status of that? At the state level?
Yeah, I don't even know that they, what Marissa Gillette conducted a study, and I don't know that they've come out with results.
I haven't heard anything, but you're tied into it more closer than I am, but
I can double check, but last I heard, I don't think she has, so, or, given any recommendation or anything, so, you know,
well, the flyers
as long
that
as Katie Dykes is against it, it's not gonna fly.
is she?
She was,
She was, or I don't know if she was against it, but she was not very receptive when I talked to her, but she was just coming in. I don't know where she stands now.
yeah.
But is the flyer that you put together, did you make copies of that or you just have like a master? You didn't make a whole bunch of those flyers, did you?
The town made us some copies. I don't know if I ended up with them, but I can look around, see if I
Did
can.
we, did we use them at all?
Yeah, yeah. So
Did
2
you
years
give
ago
them
at the fall festival, yeah, we had to hand it out a bunch.
There was no fall festival last year. Was it 2 years
No,
ago?
2 years ago.
Really? So we did hand those out.
Yeah.
So 2 years.
Is it still valid? Or no? Probably not. If the state's not going to do anything, we're not going to do anything, right? We can't act on our own.
Right. So,
Walt, do you have any other ideas?
No, and I think I would bag it for this year myself. I mean, I don't have the stamina to get something pulled together or willpower at this point. So,
I mean,
that's-
I have here on the agenda Hess audits. And Fiona actually gave us a compliment, if you will. Apparently she had a Hess audit and she thought it was a great idea. I don't know what the status is of Hess audits in Cheshire. I know that we had a whole bunch of them at the beginning and now.
yeah, and I don't, I never had an account on the ones on Hess audits. We'd have to get that from Eversource. I don't think Eversource to give it to us, but the people that went through I Heart My Home, I can get you a count on that. And I wonder if Fiona did that. That would be interesting to know.
Yeah. Well,
All
are
right.
you connected with her? Can you find out?
Sure.
Yeah.
I can
See,
email her.
and does it make sense? Is I Heart My Home still available? Is it still?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's available to us for free. A number of towns are formalizing, or a number of cities are kind of formalizing it and helping get them funding, like Middletown and New Haven, and I think Hartford are all joining in because it's been very successful. I thought it was very helpful to me, and I think I know a little something about energy, but they know more.
Yeah. So if it's available, and you think it's useful, a useful program for people, and we have people in Cheshire that are qualified to participate. Why not talk about that?
Anyone can use it. Any resident,
So why not?
any Connecticut
That
resident.
could be one of the things that we promote.
Sure. And I'm sure I could get some kind of. I can look into whether they have a flyer.
Okay. All right. So then those are a couple of things that you can come back with for the next meeting.
Okay.
If you would agree to do that. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Do you have anything on tree trimming, Dan Bombaro?
Yeah, I got nothing really new. They're doing minimal work in Cheshire this year. They were working a small circuit by Reservoir Road. I think I reported on that at least 2 months ago. And they're still working in that area as needed.
Okay. Okay, and I think to wrap it up, we can close by talking about the net zero energy school buildings. I did get feedback. I think we might have touched on this last month, but not sure. Jim Jinks got back to me. Vin Masiana got back to me. Both of them insisted that they're nowhere near design development phase, that all their effort is being put into trying to determine how many schools and where to put them, but they're not into the school design phase. And they both have said that, well, when they get there, hopefully before they get there, they will include the Energy Commission, at least allow us to participate in that phase of the project. Dan Bombaro, hopefully that's your understanding as well. But
yeah, I mean, reading from those emails, I think they were just affirming where they are. Much to the point that you made, they're not anywhere near the design phase. You'd have to consider that until the idea of a project goes through referendum and gets approved. They haven't done anything other than put the idea out there. At the point that something's approved at referendum, and they'll go into the design phase, to whatever setup that they're looking at.
And I don't know if I forwarded Vin Masiana's email to everybody else or whether he sent it directly to everybody else, but there was a slide from a deck that was prepared back when they were looking at a new middle school for the Cheshire Park area. And they did consider various energy and renewable energy and like solar and other energy efficiency projects. And it was well done. They had a graph of the cost and the benefit of the various ideas. I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 or 20 of them. I don't know, did anybody see those? Did Walt?
I don't remember seeing that, no.
Dan? Did you? Dan Newton?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, well, I can send it out again if I haven't already, but I think it was an indication that the Board of Ed, the school department, whatever, whoever's going to undertake this is willing to look at energy efficiency, renewable energy, resiliency, and provided that it's cost effective. And I don't know who's going to determine, but obviously there's going to be additional costs involved, but it gets into that life cycle cost discussion that we had earlier.
Yeah, but when you're building new, that's when you can do geothermal or thermal or something.
Right.
I can ask, this company I work for now, McGran Associates, they're pretty big. They do a lot of stuff from DC to Boston. So I can ask one of these guys who's really into it if he has a place where I can go get like a cut sheet on school buildings, energy efficient school buildings. There might be a source where we can pick up a couple examples.
It would be a good idea to start putting together examples. I mean, there are examples of net zero energy schools elsewhere in the country.
Right.
There aren't that many, but there are some. So it would be a good idea to start collecting that information and putting it, in the hands of whoever's on the committee. I don't know if that committee is going to then go into the design phase, or is it just the demographics of where the schools should be and what kind of schools they should be? Dan Bombaro, do you know if
well, the school modernization committee provided two different opportunities to the town council. The town council then took those opportunities. I think they're at a divide and conquer in a sense with the Board of Education, and both looking at which avenue that was presented as the best for the town to take.
right?
And
That's
that'll
not
culminate on a decision. At that point, there'll probably be either a separate committee made up of board and town officials to oversee the design phase of it. Whether or not that's going to be made up of SMC participants or a full new group in itself, I can't speak to.
Okay. Okay, and then I guess maybe this should be the last thing we talked about, but a lot of these topics that we discuss that come before the council and require council approval or a nod from them to go forward. The council is going to do our selections this November, right? Are all the councilors up for re-election or
This
election?
is an election year.
So it's the full complement of council members could conceivably change, right?
Potentially.
It could. So I don't know if that means that nothing really of any, I don't want to say it's of importance, but I mean, a lot of these decisions might have to wait until after November. Or what? Is there, is
If
this-
you're thinking about the decision for the greenback, I think we're gonna, wasn't that like January, and we'd need,
Yeah. Well, that's the next round.
yeah.
January is
so-
the next round.
So we'd have to get through, if we gotta go through planning, we gotta start before November.
Right. Right. That's my point, is that there may be things that the current council, the way that it's currently comprised, may not be the same.
But that doesn't mean we can't start the process of going through planning with the council that's there in October.
Right. Dan Bombaro, what's the latest on the referendum? Is it going to still be in November, or is it going to be pushed to February, or do you know? On the school.
I don't know where that stands at the present. I don't know if they've changed it at all. I mean, the referendum items are up for November. If they hold a special referendum in February, January, February, I don't know if they've made that decision at this point.
Because I saw something where it might be postponed, but I didn't see, not that I might have missed it. I don't know where we stand, if it's still going to be November, if it's going to be February. But again, that's not design. That's like more of a concept. Is it
Right. That's
is it two
the
elementaries,
referendum.
or is there one of each, or is it north end, south end, or?
Right. That's just a referendum for the overall plan of
Right.
plan of concept. You know, how many schools they're going to do, what schools they're going to do, are they going to do new or renovations?
Right.
That's what they're putting to referendum at this point.
Okay. Okay, that's all I've got. Anybody else have anything?
I just wanted, I tested a couple houses this last couple months. Thinking about that I Heart Home job. This guy put an addition on, put an air conditioner in that was wicked oversized, and things were really shoddy. And I just felt so bad for the guy. Like, we put this big addition on, and it was so poorly done that if he had talked to iHeart as to what size air conditioner and stuff, he would have been a lot better off instead of taking the contractor's word on it. Then I tested a house on Wolf Hill Road, Seed Homes. Unbelievable. The guy's going to put solar panels on it. It's all electric. It'll be a net zero home. You know, so the exact guy did his homework. You know, and it was really cool testing that net zero home.
Did he do his own homework, or did he have a contractor do it for him?
Well, there was an architect who does net zero homes who's put together a modular home package for him. So it was actually 3 or 4 boxes shipped to the site and assembled on site. You know, it's got 2 ducted mini splits, 2 ERVs. Pretty simple design, but it's gonna be comfortable as anything. It's beautiful.
What's the ERV?
Energy recovery ventilator.
Okay, yeah.
When you have a really airtight house, you have to allow for ventilation. So,
And try and extract the heat out of that area exchange.
right. So you always have good fresh air in the house. It was really
This
cool.
This
Enjoyed it.
oversized cooling unit, was it a heat pump by any chance, or was it just a DX?
Just a DX, it was like, I don't know, 1,800 square foot house, with like 3 tons on it. And then he had it, went through the Hess audit, had the walls packed, had the ceiling re-insulated. And so really, it's going to be terrible,
Yeah.
it's going to be terrible.
That's a good point. I guess if we do talk about I Heart My Home, Dan, you'll be bringing some information to the next meeting, but as an application, doesn't just apply to, just upgrading a house, but if you're going to do any significant additions or new construction, you need to
Yeah.
talk to the
I
expert.
think, and oversizing furnaces and air conditioning, that's like the mentality of most installers. I mean, they don't look at energy analysis. It's just like, it's like having a bigger pickup truck, like I'd like the biggest one I can get, because it can do the most. But that's not what you want in a furnace.
They also don't want that. They don't want to under design either, because that'll create problems for them. The
Yeah.
house has got to be warm enough in the winter and cool enough in the summer. So you make it that, and then add a little bit more to it.
Yeah, on the coldest days, you want the furnace running like 90% of the time.
Right.
The coldest.
Hmm.
That's
Okay. All right. So anything else? Walt, Dan?
I did have an idea, I had a vision
A vision.
of our town hall parking lot with the 2 rows of parking spaces in the middle. Saw a big solar carport over it with all the town vehicles plugged in. It just came to me.
Wow. I think Green Bank looked at that, didn't they, Dan?
That was one of the sites that they looked at. I don't know that, I think they looked at the southern side of the rooftop more than they did at Solar Carports for that location specifically because of the southern exposure. And then by the time you get full sun, you get shadow from just in being at the property, you get shadow in the early afternoon on that side of the parking lot against the building.
Yeah.
But
Somewhere.
plug-in cars are still obviously a potential if you have the rooftop.
yeah.
Somebody was talking about, well, that's another question for you, Dan Bombaro. Somebody from another town was interested in getting information from towns that had done solar carports at police stations specifically. And I think I sent you a note asking if you could contact them or share.
I'll have to check my email. I don't recall that one.
But in a thread, various people weighing in on solar carports. Obviously, one of the advantages of a solar carport, other than generating power, is you keep the police vehicles free of snow and ice in the winter, and the cars are cooler in the summer. So the police have the benefit of, making their lives a little more comfortable, but they don't have to jump into a hot car or leave the car running during the wintertime so it doesn't build up on snow and ice and whatever. I'm not saying they could completely turn it off, but those are other side benefits of having a carport that we've talked about a little bit, but I think, it needs, and if when you mentioned that you could put the town vehicles under the carport, there may be just a smaller area in the town hall parking lot that's not shaded in the afternoon that it might make sense. But I don't think anything's going to make sense unless there's there's no net metering, right? So I don't know how they're justifying the cost of these. They say that the carports specifically are expensive because of the steel or whatever. I don't know. If the steel is that expensive, then maybe they should be made out of something else besides steel. Aluminum. Much more expensive, make them out of wood. Well, wood's very expensive now too, right? But there's got to be some kind of a structural support system that's not cost prohibitive that you could put a solar panel on if you really wanted to. But anyway, I think that's all for tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn? Somebody, Walt,
I'll make a
Yeah.
motion.
you're up to, you've got to second it. All right, and I presume that there's no further discussions, correct? Yes, okay, all in favor of adjourning? Aye. August, come with your ideas. Thank you.
Take care, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Good
Dan.
night.
Bye-bye.